This is the final lap. All right. To make the beefsteak encebollado, you need beef cube steak. This has already been smashed. If you get the steak without it being smashed, then you would get a hammer and smash it. But this has already been pre-run through the mill and everything. This is prepping for this. This can take 4 hours. Some people do it in 20 minutes, but I recommend 4 hours. Get a big bowl because there's going to be a lot going in there to prep. What I do is with cold water, okay, just thing. Some people do it, some people don't, but I'm going to run it through the cold water. But you can see how the meat is already I'm just going to rinse that off and put that in there. This part is very important because this is the seasoning prep. Okay, you can use 6 to 8 cubes of cloves of garlic, but I am only going to use 1 tablespoon of garlic. Depending on how much garlicly you like your seasoning, you got to be careful with it. But the cloves, you smash them, but I'm going to use minced garlic here. Remember, the whole thing is not to get this either getting salty or because vinegar, white vinegar, some people nowadays use rice vinegar, but remember, Puerto Ricans, they would use, so it's a 1/4 cup of vinegar. Too much vinegar can make it salty, again, because remember, you got the cloves, the garlic in here, and then olive oil. Don't use any other oil but olive oil. That's going to be a 1/4 of olive oil. That has to be equal amounts. So if you put a 1/4, if you have more to cook and you put a half, then you put a half of that. But this has to be equal amounts. Alrighty. And then we're going to put some adobo. You're probably saying, wow, that's going to be a high sodium. You put the adobo to your taste. With a whisk, you're going to whisk the heck out of this. And you make sure you whisk the heck out of it. All right, let's bring it to the sink. Okay, with that whisk product that you've made, and make sure you whisk it real good, you are going to pour it all over that meat. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. If you just want to add pepper, that's fine. At least put pepper in it. If you don't want to add salt because you think, well, hell, you got all that stuff in there, then don't put salt. But we use the pink Himalayan salt. So, and you don't, it's not a lot. You're just putting, you know, just enough because, again, this is a lot of this is going to get cooked off. All right, the next step we have to do is get the onions prepared. Guys, let's get to the onion. I'm going to use 1 big onion. Sometimes it's recommended to use 2. That's why it's called Bistec Encebollado. The onion is what is going to complement the steak and the white rice. I mean, it's not just a steak with all those flavors that are going to be popping, but the onion is really what puts it over the chain. And it has to be a white onion. No other onion but this white one. And like I said, I'm going to use this. Come on, get off of me. There we go. So we're gonna slice this onion. I mean, I bought a pretty big onion. Like I said, you can use one. Depending on the size, maybe you need two. But this dish is all about this onion right here. All right, let's hope I don't cut my finger. And the reason I say 4-hour prep is the best for this is because it's gonna absorb it all. Okay, now I'm gonna put my onions in here because all this is gonna sit, and I feel 4 hours is good because you want it to get it into the meat, and you want, like I said, equal parts all over everything, especially the onions. Like I said, this is really what makes it, and I'll show you why it's gonna complement the white rice. Now you notice I'm not putting red sazon in here for coloring. The Puerto Ricans make it without it being red. That's how it's always been done. Then someone came along eventually and put it sazon. Once you put red sazon in here, it's not beefsteak Encebollado. It's not the steak and onion. It's not, but the true way, back in the days when great grandma, you talking about in the 70s, in the 60s, this is how they did it. And I promise you, I feel personally, without the red in it and all that, it's gonna be mixed in together. Without the red sazon in it, I promise you, it'll be like 110. So I want to make sure I get every inch of the meat on that bottom there, which I probably should have soaked it up first. Get it all sloppy. So that way when I mix it with the onion, it's going all, and you could smell the flavors right now. I mean, this is like, these flavors are popping. And another, like I said, another thing too, you got to remember the juices and the flavors that you're making here is what's going to make that plantain pop too, because you're using the plantain as you're dipping into this sauce that is going to be made. All right. So now I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let that sucker, I want the meat to rest on them onions. So if anything drips, it's going to drip all over that onions. That one big onion was pretty good. Make sure your cube steaks are thick too. The thicker, the better, because that's what makes the sauce. Like you'll see when I start cooking. So let me wash my hands up. All right, that's gonna go in the refrigerator. See you in 4 hours. I'm gonna get my bean prep ready. You do this part of the prep while the seasoning is done is the as farthest as you go to on the prep. So some people like the juices in there. Some people don't like the juices in there. That's up to your thing. Red beans is recommended, or kidney beans, same thing, big, large, whatever. But the red beans is, again, it's what's gonna complement this dish. So you have a lot of foods and everything that will complement this dish here. So let's get this rinsed out here. And it's very important that it's made this way. You know, like right now in my head, I'm singing Christmas tunes, because right before you get that penne in Christmas, this is what's being made during the holidays. This is very popular around the holidays. And again, the Puerto Ricans, they start celebrating Christmas right after Thanksgiving. So for the end of November, all the way till January 7th, this meal becomes very popular. So I have that all cleaned. Again, this is the bean prep way before I start anything, because I want this to settle too as well. So I'm going to get a pimento. Alrighty, I finally got them out there. Now the pimento, you just cut 2 sides. Some people dice them, some people leave them long. These things will shrink. I'm going to dice them. Also, looks like it's a whole pimento. I might have too much pimento, but that's okay. I might put the other half away. You don't want to over pimento it, so this other half is definitely going to go back in the jar. And this one half here is what I'm going to put in my bean pan. Okay, and this other half I am going to safely put back in the jar, because you don't want to over pimento. Remember, everything that I'm talking up to this point is complementing one another. So when you get all the flavors in your mouth, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Some people, I meant to say, they just put a little bit of that pimento juice in there. Got a little flavoring. Another thing I'm going to add is the olive with the red pimentos in there. So it's a lot. You know, you're probably saying you're over pimento in it. That's okay. Hey, we put adobo, we put salt, we put bouillons. About a good teaspoon there is good. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you might think like, wow, that's going to be a lot of salt. But what you don't understand is that steak, the way it's going to be cooked, a lot of that salt is going to dissipate. So now we got that and that going. Some people will add a little bit of olive juice in there to get the olivey flavor in that. But I already put the pimento. I don't want to overjuice it. All right, now comes the crazy part, because everyone's going to be like, why the heck are you putting all that in there? It's like it looks like you're defeating the purpose, okay? So what I'm going to do is, of course, is the sazon with achote. This is the coloring one, but it has, of course, all those seasonings in it. This is what people normally would have put in that steak to make it red. I tell you, that is not the original Puerto Rican way. I'm not saying that it's not a good way, but that wasn't meant how they did it. I'm going to put some adobo to taste. And again, you're probably saying like, oh my gosh, you're putting all that seasoning. It's like, it's redundant. It's redundant. Trust me. When I add the water in here and everything, you're going to see how I'm going to spark up the flavors. And again, everything is going to complement everything here. Now, recadito, I like using this one here because this one here, it comes with the sofrito already in it. I mean, not the sofrito, the cilantro. So I'll get like 1 or 2. Then I'm going to get some sofrito, and you're probably saying, well, why are you putting the sofrito? Because you already put the powdered sazon. Okay, and of course you're going to be like, well, hang on, the tomatoes paste is going in there. Doesn't matter. There's not much in there anyway, so let's get all that in there. I'm going to have to put some water on this and pour it in there. Now, you're going to be like, why the heck is he getting the chicken bouillon tomato if he's going to put tomato sauce? This will help thicken up the bean juice as well. And it gives it a chicken flavor. Some people will add a chicken bouillon in there. Some people would put chicken broth in there to get the flavor. But I use this here. Some people use this for coloring to make their yellow rice. I mean, it's all about, Puerto Ricans are all about the spices. Now the only thing, oh, and then I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Olive oil, or I'll add the olive oil because I have a chote oil. I could put that in there, but the reason why olive oil, it has that flavor. So you're just adding a little bit of olive oil. That's why it's very important to use Puerto Ricans use olive oil. That's all about flavoring. Now, another thing, it's new. I've never done it before, but I am going to add some scallions. And I'm just going to add a little bit of scallions to it. Because remember, these scallions are going to shrink up and disappear. So not that much, see? Just a little bit of scallions. I always change sometimes I make it different, the beans different ways. There is no really wrong way or right way, but the Puerto Rican way is adobo, sazon, recadito, bouillon. I mean, they're all about the spices and the taste. Because again, everything is going to complement everything on that plate. Some people will use potatoes. I am going to try sweet potato in here. I don't think I'm going to use the whole sweet potato. I'm going to see, let's get this peeling and see how much sweet potato I'm going to get in here. Okay, now if you put potatoes in here or not, that is up to you. You don't have to, because again, the onions are going to complement the rice and then the beans as well. You can put potatoes. Some people use yuca. I can't remember the other thing that they use, but that's up to you if you want to put it in there. But you figure you got a meat, why not have a potato? And I think I'm only going to use half a sweet potato here. So let me get this cleaned up. You don't want the peel on it. But I think they put pana or something. So let's get this cleaned up because we're going to dice this up. And what I think is that the sweetness from this sweet potato is definitely going to complement the saltiness of in there. And again, it's not going to be that salty. Like I said, you go to the island. I remember, my grandmother cooking early in the morning. I'm thinking like, what the heck is she doing? It's only 9 o'clock in the morning, but everything's about prepping, seasoning, getting it ready so that when you put the heat on high, dinner's ready. By noon, dinner's ready. Other thing on the island, I know over here, we always say like, hey, Mom, what are we having for lunch? And like, hey, let's go to McDonald's or I'll make you a sandwich or something. In Puerto Rico, it's like, hey, Mom, what are you having for lunch? And basically what you're having for lunch is what you're having for dinner. So, because for those workers that have to work the late night shift, they got their dinner prepared so they can take it to work or before they go to work. But lunch in Puerto Rico and dinner are the same meal. There is no difference. And that's why they make a big pot of it. So that's probably going to be enough sweet potato. That's going to be enough. That's perfect. I'm not going to use this here. Alrighty. Now, I forgot to add the tomato sauce, guys. Then the beans. You notice how I'm putting no water or nothing in it yet. That is because this has to sear up a little bit before I add the water. So all these spices. So what I'm going to do here is this is just going to sit until I'm ready to put it and get these things a little bit seared up here before I add the water. A couple of hours have passed. We could start getting ready for, this is the sweet plantains and this is the harder plantains. And we're gonna make both of them today. This I might start a little bit earlier because we can munch on this all day. Sometimes these are hard to peel. So just remember when you buy the plantains, depending how you want it, the yellow ones are going to be the sweeter one. Now, I've seen people cook regular bananas like this way. The yellow ones really makes a nice sweet treat candy. Some people put a little bit of salt on them. I know on the harder ones, you put salt on them. You sprinkle the salt and then let the salt melt right on the plantain. Some people do that with the sweet one, or they use mayo ketchup with some adobo seasoning in it. But because we could do it with the adobo seasoning, but because we're going to have that steak, that cube steak with the onion, we don't need to go that route. We are going to go the route of that sauce that steak is going to bring. This is the harder one to peel. And the ones that were growing in the backyard are plantain family, but they're not this big. But the ones that we have in Puerto Rico on that farm that you've seen back there, that's what these are. Yeah, see, this is, some people soak this in water. Just got to be careful. Just all about getting it cut in the right spot, and then it'll peel off right. Some people, again, not only they soak the whole thing in water, but they will get this plantain, not the sweet one, but this one here, and they would put it in salt water and let it sit for a while. But we're not going to do that in this video. So guys, I hope you're enjoying this video so far. Get out there and do something. Cook something for yourself. Try something different. I know some of you are going to say, like, well, you know, how you're using the seasoning. You're doing this, you're doing that. I could cook it this way. You cook it the way you want to. Every day I change my recipe. Sometimes I don't add all that stuff in the beans. It's just whatever you feel like, because I have to remember, I'm not just cooking for myself. I'm cooking for BB, and we have the difference in taste buds. And it's like if you raise your kids, you all get the same taste buds and flavors. So just because I might like something salty doesn't mean she likes it salty. So you cook it to what your flavor is. But I always say use olive oil. Like, that is the main thing in a Puerto Rican dish, is only olive. Okay, let me go clean my hands up. Okay, now if I wanted to make a plantain steak sandwich, this whole plantain would get cooked like that. And what they would do is they would smash this whole thing, and that would look like a piece of bread. And then you would smash that one, the green one now. And then you would put the beef steak, which I might make that with the other steak that we bought from Fancy Fruit. And you can make a steak sandwich with lettuce and tomato. And my mouth is getting all watery. So we cut these on an angle because they're going to get smashed. So just depending how wide you want them will depend on the angle. There's no right or wrong. Now you're going to see the difference because these get smashed. The sweet ones don't get smashed, because you're going to see the difference when it caramelizes on the oil. Because this one will turn brown. This one will get puffy and it's real soft. Where this one will stay hard. So, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter. You're going to know the difference between one and the other. This is the ones that never get smashed. They just get put in there and cooked. So just depending on how you like your slices. So beans are still seasoning in there. I probably should have waited on the tomato sauce because I want to sear everything, but that's okay. It's no right or wrong because I still got to add water to the beans, but I'm going to warm it up like that before I add the water. Because what that does is eventually that'll spark the taste flavors. That's why Puerto Ricans sear a lot of their seasoning before they add anything to it. Because that's what gets it its flavors. Alrighty. There goes that there. Find this screen splasher that we've had here for 10, maybe 15 years. Never used it. Just found it brand new. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some oil and get the oil up to temperature. So I'm going to start it on slow. I'll probably bring it up to 4. Now, depending, some people, when they put the oil in there, you can either have it to where it's halfway covering the plantain, because eventually this oil, I probably have to add more oil as time is going. You can add a little bit more. Some people will put these in a deep fryer. It just, you know, just all depends, but I think that oil there is going to be good because I just want to make sure that it's cooking half, at least half, because I am going to flip it over for it to cook the other side. And then the green ones I smash, put back in there. So I'm going to get this up to temperature. I might just add a little bit more. And again, olive oil is the key to the flavoring. So let that warm up and get to temperature. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the oil. And what I do is I put this in there. Because again, I'm not trying to boil it, but I hear it sizzling a little. Because you don't want this just to sit in the oil and get warm. This oil's got to be preheated, not to a boil and not like high. It's definitely like in the medium range. I am on a 4 on an electric stove. So just waiting for that to get warmed up. And I got my splash catcher because this does get messy. So just imagine you're in Puerto Rico right now. You know, it's 11 o'clock. Dinner's and lunch is getting ready. Usually this is done by then. But we're not feeding a tribe. We're just feeding 2 people here. So, yeah, there it goes. And I just gently put them in there. And these are the sweet ones I'm going to cook because they don't need to be smashed. They just need to be cooked. Ooh. Might not be warmed up yet. Come on. Yeah, let me just wait a minute. Let me get this a little bit more warmer, guys. I thought it was warm, but it's not there yet. It's getting there. There it goes. I see the sizzling right there. So she's getting there. You see it sizzling. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but yeah, there we go. I'm hearing it. I can see the sizzling now going. I have tongs. So, probably using these real quick. Because I don't want to burn myself neither. Son of a gun. Run away you now. Oops. Don't want that to happen. There we go. There we go. Just better off with my hands, guys. Just get them in there. And put as many as you want. As long as you have room and they're getting cooked all over, that's just the main thing. There it goes there. And these you just get to they're slightly brown on each side. Again, this is the sweet plantains, not the other one. And if you have to lower the temperature, just lower it. Get the other tongs. These are better. Now it's not spitting, so I really don't need this on yet. I know it will spit and spatter as this oil is getting hot. And then if I have to, I'll just decrease the temperature. So again, this is the sweet plantains that are getting cooked first. The other ones go through a process. All right, so I'm just gonna let that cook for a little bit, and then we'll get back to it when I get ready to flip it. And with this being medium, I don't have to use the splatter thing. But again, if you were to soak the hard ones in the water, probably because of the water, you could see it getting brown up on top. Some people will get a spoon, they'll splash it on top there. Our main goal is to get this a little bit like that. See that brownness can stay for a little bit more, but that crunchy caramel that turns to like a caramelly, it's just a flavor that it just brings it to. So I just want to see. Okay, I'm going to turn them over now, but you see these you do not smash, because again, these are the sweet ones, the soft ones. This is almost like a candy. Now with this here, if you do eat it with the mayo ketchup, with the adobo in it, the mayo ketchup, what that does is that brings out the saltiness and it complements the sweetness of this banana here, the sweet one. So everything that I'm making today is complementing something. Or you could just eat it without the mayo ketchup. It's up to you. Just be careful, because oil can get very messy. I'm doing pretty good right now. Oops. Don't want to jinx it. There's always that one. All right, so I'm going to let that side get a little bit seared up, and then we'll put the other ones that I have left over ready. I think they're going to be ready. And now remember, the inside of here is going to be gooey. You can see it. The inside of this is going to be gooey. Some people make these a little bit darker and crispier on the edges. Again, that's just all going to be to your thing. I'm using parchment paper for this, not a napkin, to catch the grease, because I feel like with this being so gooey, it might stick to the napkin. So I use the parchment paper so that it doesn't stick to. Come on, baby. Come on. There we go. Come to Papa. See it nice little tan flavor there. So I'm gonna let this sit and rest, guys. I'm gonna cook these other one, and I'll be right back as soon as I get ready to cook the green ones. But that's how you cook the sweet ones right there. Now we're gonna go to the hard ones. I'll show you the other ones when I'm done here. Now that oil is hot. Again, it's not boiling. It's still in the simmer. I'm still at a medium. Now this here might pop. But so far I have not have to use my screen. So that means I have the oil at the perfect temperature. Again, on an electric stove, I'm on number 4. Now this here is almost the same way, but this we cook through, all the way through. Now I probably made too much today of these things, but that's fine. But at least I know I can do 1 banana of the sweet and 1 banana of this, and that's good enough for 2 people here. We might have leftovers, I don't know. But again, these make a great snack. They can go into the refrigerator and you can eat them the next day just as is. Oil amount in there is perfect. So I have that at perfection. And then these are what the sweet ones look like right there. That's pretty darn good. All right, let's let that get sizzling to a light brown on both sides, and then we're gonna smash them. So while I have that cooking, I am gonna clean the rice. All right, that was the starch I was getting off the rice. Now the harder plantains, you see how it's like, you could see the difference in them? It's like a little yellowish. You want to get them like that at first, because these have to get smashed. So you don't want to get these too brown yet. See, they're getting a little bit, because these are getting smashed. And then when they get smashed, they'll get cooked all the way through. But that's perfect amount of searing is good there. Because if you cook them all the way through, they'll be hard to smash them, because you still want the center to soften up. And how you can usually tell is you see that black part, the banana's turning black. That's telling you that it's coming through the center. So I'm gonna get that going. And then we'll be doing the Hulk smash on it. This is made by Musa. Musa makes all Hispanic products for Mexican or any other country that's Latin. This is our smasher. Chomp, chomp. If I had to make them like sandwiches, if I had just cut this in half to make it like a sandwich bread, I have a big plantain smasher that's about the size of this. I think it's like 6 inches, and that makes the sandwiches. So if I wanted to make the steak sandwiches with the plátano, that's how you make the steak sandwiches. The steak sandwich, it's real flat and long. They're very tasty. They normally come with lettuce and I think lettuce and tomato on it, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly, and onions, seared onions, and see, that's perfect. You notice I'm not using a napkin because I'm not worried about the grease. I try to do this real quick because I don't want to take this pan. This oil right now, it is burning clean, as you can see the oil. So I don't want to lose that heat temperature, that whatever I have it up to. But right now I'm getting clean. Didn't have to use the splatter thing. That's probably because I didn't dip this in water. So now I gotta move quick into the smash process. Right, now it's time for the Hulk smash. Basically, you just want to align this up to that circle right there. Sometimes they will stick. It is what it is. And then you smash it as flat as you can, because I'm not going to be able to put all that in there. And then you see, that's how you want to get it. Now you'll sear this to where it'll get brown, lightly brown, and it'll cook it all the way through on each side. So while I can do that, and you see, when you cook it like that, where it's lightly brown, it's not going to be as sticky. Because when it's trying to tell you that when it's lightly brown, it's not cooked through, but it is cooked somewhat through. Smaller chips you got to keep an eye on. They tend to burn quicker. Some people like them that way. That's going to be all the preference. And it's not about how many chips you get in there. You know, don't be scared. There we go. That's a real chef would say, don't be scared. All right, so we're going to get these in there. That's good enough for that right there. And these I can smash and have them ready. Those, once I flip over, you see how it's breaking up a little, so that one. There we go. And they're a little crunchy right now in the stage that I'm smashing it in, so it's a slight crunch to it. Yeah, see? And that's cooking at the same time. Those will go on the napkins, and then I will spray some salt on them, because from the heat from the salt will caramelize them. It's a pretty easy process. A lot of dishes to wash, I'll tell you that much. That's the only thing I hate about cooking is cleaning. This doesn't mean because I've put 5 in there I can't add more. Looks like I have more space, because you're really keeping an eye on this the whole time. You're not keeping your eye off of it, so. At least I know these 5. Got to keep an eye on them. Nope, I got to get a little bit darker. See, they got to get like literally seared. So, all right, this is going to take a little bit to cook. So we'll let that cook as soon as they're ready. You can cook this on high if you want to, but if you cook it high, it's going to be splashy and messy. Some people like the burnt edges. This is the ones I put new. You can tell the difference that is getting there. And some people don't. So it's just all to your taste. All I know is now they're getting harder like chips, but they'll still be soft in the center. I don't like mine's really black, burnt, like the edges like that. I might just let this side, but you could see how now the difference between these and then this one here, you could see the difference. Yeah, those 3 are not ready. And again, I got everything here on medium. I got my Himalaya salt ready to sprinkle on top of it when I put it on the napkin now. This will go on the napkin to absorb all the oil. Alrighty, they're getting there. Now this is the type of, oh, that one's not done. I think it was these 5 here. This is the type of food that you cook and you play salsa, not reggaeton. You play salsa while you're cooking. Get a little bit of salsa music going. Blast it up and get them numbers blasted up. That's perfect. Because like I said, some people like them a little darker. I'm not really about them because sometimes they do tend to cut the top of your mouth. Let's get these other ones in here going so I can put the salt on that one. Just remember those 3 are over there. Look at that oil. It is on point. There we go. And you can see the differences in the color. So that other one's getting in there. Now I'm going to use my Himalaya salt. Again, if you want to put salt, that's fine. And what this salt will do, don't want to put too much. I don't want to make it too salty. But what that salt will do is that'll caramelize as that is in the cooling down process. Don't want too much. I know you guys are probably saying like, oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of salt, but that's what a lot of these Puerto Rican things, you know, you go to Puerto Rico, you blow up because a lot of sodium in their food. They love sodium, boy. Sodium is their friend. I might just do a little, yeah, just half crunch. But yeah, when you go to Puerto Rico, you blow up. It's because of all that sodium. There you have it. Now I'm going to do what normally abuela does, because that oil is not dirty. That can be cleaned out and saved. And what they Puerto Ricans normally do is they keep it in the oven. That I can use for when I do my griddle. I can use that oil for my next meal. So you see the difference between the sweet one? The reason I'm not putting it down because I still have the stove on. But you see the difference between the hard and the soft sweet. So now with that, let's get these beans that have been sitting here for a while, still on number 4. What I probably should have did was I probably should have seared the beans without the tomato sauce at first, but I didn't add the water yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to get this low. I'm not trying to boil this, but I'm trying to sear all the ingredients and flavor, because you can do it with the tomato, you can do it without the tomato, but don't ever put the water in there. Because what you want to do is sear the seasoning, the sofrito that's in there, the pepper, a little bit of the sweet potato, the bean. You just want to not sear them to where you're making them black, but you want to get the flavors. That's why a lot of Puerto Ricans, when you see them cooking, they'll sear the seasoning first, not burn it, just get it warmed up a little, and then they'll add all the stuff in there. So right now, we are just going to let this simmer, just a little simmer before I add the water, and then we're going to go to a hard boil on that. So, and this is looking that's looking real good, guys. Okay, you see it bubbling there? That's what I wanted to get. That nice bubble going. You could smell the flavors just kicking up and everything. Now, some of the seasonings, again, you could bring down half. Now, what I normally do is I just fill it up with a can of water. Because you don't want it too runny. Usually when beans sit for a while. And this is going to come to a boil now. Now I'm going to turn that up. Let her boil a little bit. If I have to add a little bit more water, I will. Now I'm going to bring this up to a boil so the potatoes and everything can cook there. You don't have to go process by process how I'm cooking. I'm trying to get the meat will be the warmest in the end. I don't have a pan, so I'll be cooking it in that. Now the rice is real simple. It's just white rice, a little bit of oil. First, I'm going to be cooking on that back burner. And then I'm going to turn the back burner and put that on medium just to get that warmed up, because that's going to go high, full blast boil. So I'm going to do that real quick just to get that oil up to temperature first. Once I see the sizzling there, then I'm going to do the rice. So right now, the beans, and then I'll be putting the lid on the beans. And then I'll bring the temperature down so that it simmers. What the tomato paste does and what the bouillon does, that tomato paste bouillon, it makes it a little bit thicker, not too much runny, because you don't want your beans too runny. And you know, thick is good because it'll stick on every piece of the rice. And then we'll be getting ready to pull out the cubes. I'm sorry, the beans is coming to a boil. All right, this is ready there. Add my rice. Make sure you keep stirring this because you don't want nothing to stick to the bottom. That's doing its job. Now the water to the rice I'm going to add. You want to make sure it's at least your finger of more water over the rice. That's going to go on high now, because that's going to come to a boil over there. Now you can tell your beans are getting good because you see this little foaming in the middle. That's what you want to see. There she goes. That rice is on high. Now you don't have to do it on white rice. It's up to you. But normally people like on yellow rice, you put a bay leaf. You can put a bay leaf if you want in your beans. And you could put a bay leaf if you want in your rice. Normally I would add salt with my rice, but right now there's so much salt going on right now. I'm not gonna add salt to the rice. That bay leaf should bring the flavor up. Right now I can come down on this temperature because it's been doing that for a while. I'm gonna put this on number 4. And then I'm gonna put a lid on it. I don't know what the heck I did with the lid. Because with the lid off of it, you're evaporating all the water. And you don't wanna do that. So the lid now, oops, wrong lid. I had it around here somewhere. Anyway, let me find the correct lid. There it is. All right, so now I'm gonna bring this down. Got this on number 4. That boil is gonna come down. I'm still continuously turning that. The rice is still on high. It has to get up to thing. Now for the steak. I put a little bit of oil. I am gonna get this up to temperature. I'm gonna start this on number 6. I am gonna add a little bit. You can add sofrito. I'm gonna add this right here. Just a little bit. When I see that simmering there, then the steak is gonna go inside. But that should be coming down pretty soon. These beans down just a little bit more. The sazon and the oil. This can go down to now like number 2. And that could be for a while there. This is coming up. The oil's coming up to the top. So that's telling me the rice is getting ready. Want to make sure it's not sticking on the bottom. All right, here we go. This is the pre-seasoned meat. I'm gonna put that in here with the meat on the bottom. Now you're not cooking this like a regular steak. Put that all in there now. And then I'm gonna put the onions on top of it. Some people put the onions later. You can put them on whenever you want to. Because again, this is just still the beginning stage on this here. So I'm gonna keep this on a medium, which would be like a 4-5. So that's gonna be on the medium for a while. I'm gonna put a lid because I don't wanna lose my juices. And then here, I wanna make sure my beans are good. I don't need no more water to it. I just gotta make it come down. So it is at a 2, so it's gonna take a little bit to bring that down. That is cooking, waiting on the rice to boil. And that is getting ready to go on. Okay, I moved everything around here because it'd be easier to get to the rice. The only thing the beans is doing is just simmering now on 2 back there. So this is simmer. The reason I have not added water to this yet because the meat's here. You hear it? The meats have their own juices and everything. Now when that meat, that's about a good 10 to 15 minutes, I'm gonna let this meat cook here. When I see that water going down, then I will add the water to it and stuff. That's where all the flavoring, the sauce, to dip your, whatchamacallit, your plátano, your hard plátano, when you pour that So again, you're not cooking that like a steak. Rice is getting almost done here. Once I start seeing this water disappear, I'm going to put some aluminum on it. And then bring it down to a 1 or a 2. And let that simmer as well. But it is all coming into work now. Now you see the whole meal starting to form. That rice, it's coming to a fast thing. What I'm going to do now is, again, just wanted to see where I'm at with the steak. Make sure it's in the juices, because I'm going to be flipping this over pretty soon to get the onions, because the juices from the onion there as well. But I want to make sure all that steak is inside the juice that's in there. Now, again, some people add the onions after. Before, they add half now, half later. That's just all going to be up to you. So, in the end, it's all going to come out the same, because that's going to be a saucy. This is getting ready. Make sure that rice ain't sticking to the bottom. Getting ready for all this water to boil out. This might be leftovers for 2 days for us here. Because I got 4 pieces of steak. So probably eat 1 steak today. Half, have leftover tomorrow. And what I'm looking for is the little holes in the center. You'll see them beating up. And then that's when I'll bring it down. I don't care if it's white rice. I don't care if it's yellow rice. Put aluminum foil on this when you go into the simmer. This has got a little simmering going in the back here. I'm going to keep an eye on that too, because I don't want anything to fall down. Just make sure nothing burns. That's coming in nice and thick. Rice is coming in hot. Guys, I know you can do this. I know you can cook this. I know you can cook anything. Change up your food habits. Yeah, we might have this today. Let me tell you something. We haven't had this in a while. You could be a month or more, but maybe even more. But we don't really eat like this anymore with the rice. But today's a special day because, again, this is going to complement this rice here. So you have to make this with white rice. There's no other choice. All right, now I'm bringing this to 1, and I'm bringing this to one close to 2. Get my aluminum foil. Just gonna keep it nice and moist. Make sure it's sealed. Don't burn yourself. And then, and rice is only cooked in this aluminum pot. The best flavor, everything in the aluminum is the best to cook your rice. So now this is gonna simmer. This is doing this thing. I still got time on that. Oh, that's still good. That's got plenty of time. Again, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, because you're cooking the meat and the onions. Again, that might look like a lot of onions, but that is that plate. That is what complements the food, is the onions. Oops. All right, so I'm gonna let that simmer. Well, the good thing is that I'm not, possibly might not have to add water to it, because the lid keeps it watery. So I'm gonna start flipping this. Get some of the onions on the bottom so we can get the juices as well. And you're supposed to be able to cut this with a spoon when it's all done. So, because I want my onions nice and soft and floppy. So, I know there's another one down here. I know you want to stay in the hot tub. So I might not have to add water. If you don't have to add water, do not add water to it. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit more now. There we go. Come on, onion. There we go. I'm just going to turn that stove up a little bit on this here. Still keep the lid on it. Come on. I know you want to swim in that. So this way the onions get nice and sauteed. Because they've already got the flavor of everything in there. So there we go. I turned up the heat a little bit. So it'll be another good 10 minutes for that. And then if the water evaporates, I'll add more water. But you can see the oil and the thing on the side over here. That's going to get nice and thick. And that's what you can make this meal with a white rice. No beans. This is the final lap. Again, if you don't have to add water, don't add water because you want that soppy, you know. But now it's time to do a little switcheroo. Look at them onions. Oh, they're nice and soft. Let me see if I can get my other hand in here. I want to get some of that meat back in there. Get the onions back up on top. When that gets a little bit, there we go. Come on, onions. I want you back on top. There we go. All right, a few more minutes and she's almost done. Let me see. All right, nope, still there. Gotta get that meat down in there because you're supposed to be able to break it with a spoon. There we go. Okay, I had to add a little bit of water in there and let that boil just for a little bit. And then that's it. Seared on the bottom a little bit, but that's okay. That doesn't make it bad or right or wrong. I walked away from it too long. But let that bubble for a little bit, stop it, and then that's it. Final product. Now we just need the star of the show. Ta-da! Look at that, guys. Amazing. That came out good, even though it got seared a little bit, but I love the color, the textures in there. Let me see if I can show you. See that right there, how gooey it is? Oh man, that's gonna taste good. Now I see why I should. I mean, one onion was good, you can put two. And again, the star of the show is this right here. Get some rice. And it's, again, you can eat this with just white rice if you want to. It doesn't have to be with beans. You can eat it with yellow rice, but it is meant to be cooked with white rice. All right, and then comes the good part right here. Bad boy gets his own section. Now you have two choices. You could put that savory sauce on here. You could put some on the rice, but you see how the sauce is, I'll show you right here. See how the sauce is going underneath the rice? That's the good part right there. And then some of that sauce, I am gonna put in here so we can dip our plantain in there. Don't want to take too much. There goes my taste tester.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget the juice.
I know.
Oh yeah, you got juice, yeah. That's the, like I said, that is what makes that steak.
As long as you didn't put a ton of salt in it. Just saying.
But yeah, you see how that sauce there? Oh,
That's the best
mixed in with
part.
the rice. We forgot one of the most important things, of course, is the avocado.
Yeah, bird.
This is so even if you do that steak with just white rice, avocado, and plantain, that is just as good. Ooh, that looks
Wow,
real good.
check that seed out. Bring it to the table.
Right. I'm just getting the presentation plate ready. This is what your meal is supposed to look like. The presentation of it. It's nice and juicy. First time with the sweet potato. How is the meat?
I haven't tasted it yet. Don't know.
I'm saying when you cut it.
Good.
You're supposed to be able to cut it with a spoon.
Wow.
But that is the overall what your plate should look like. Mm-hmm. And now we have
That's real good.
and then how about the sweet? Did you get any sweet potato?
I'm taking my first bite now.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
And then, like I said, with the green, the hard one, you dip that in there.
Oh, you didn't make the ketchup and mayo with the garlic?
No, because in this dish here, the steak, it's really all about the steak and the onion and the juices that it brings.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about. It's not, if you add too much to it, you can take away from the steak, but the steak is really the main part of the food plate.
Gotcha.
Now, me adding the sweet potatoes to it, some people don't. They just, use regular beans, because the onion is really, if you just did this with plain white rice, it's the juices of the steak and the onion that goes on the white rice. And that's what complements the whole. And, the steak is literally falling apart. And that's what you want it to.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have the avocado in there as well. But how does the sweet plantains come out?
Really good.
But mainly, like I said, the steak and the onion is really... That steak is perfect. It just melts in your mouth. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, the sweet potato. That's what I want to taste. That's pretty good. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. The steak wasn't too vinegary? Right. That's why you put a 1/4 cup of vinegar and a 1/4 cup of oil, equal amounts of it. The juices is what, when it starts boiling and stuff, that flavor starts to eventually leave its way.
Yeah.
But you still want that flavor in it. That's why you sear some of that. Again, it's the first time I made it with the sweet potato, the beans with the sweet potato.
Good though.
Yeah. I mean, it's on point. Them beans are on point there. That's what I mean. A lot of people, they would use this because sometimes this gets a little bit thicker. And they would use, put a little bit of onion. You get a little bit of onion here on top of your plantain. And then vinegarish with the plantain just hits right there. And then, of course, you have your avocado. You always got to have an avocado with this here. I haven't had this like over, 10 plus years. Maybe 15 years.
Well, I know sometimes you like to get crazy with that vinegar.
Sometimes I would put it in the steaks and everything, but I started doing away with all that. But like I was mentioning in the video, remember when we went to Puerto Rico, we blew up because everything is so high sodium. That's why I didn't put no salt in the rice, because the vinegar flavor from the juice from the steak will definitely make up for the salt.
Yeah.
And the beans are not watery. They sit on every spot of the rice there. So that's perfection right there.
Nope, it's really good.
I mean, that's the best I've ever made it. Anything I would remember. And then the olive just gives you that salt flavor that the rice is missing in it. But let us know what you think about it. It was a Puerto Rican dinner. And it's the cube steak with the onion.
Yeah, that's good.
If you ever go to a restaurant, you want to look for beef steak encebollado. That's what you're looking for.
Yepper.
I'll probably have that rest for leftover. Killed the rest of the plantain.
Yeah.
And we would have our rice for the month or two. So thank you for joining us on this cooking video. I hope it was an enjoyable video. I hope you guys learned a lot. Anything else, BB?
Nope. That's it. So until the next video, everybody take care. Take care of one another. Take care of yourselves.
Like and subscribe. She just wants to eat.
I'm hungry.
Let's do it.
See ya.